What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the College Sports Connection podcast, where Alex hosts the Mid-American Conference Best.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the CSC Podcast, all Maction all the time. I'm your host, Alex the Captain. Joining me today, our first ever guest co-host, Brigadier Bronco, a.k.a. Brig. Brigadier Bronco, welcome to the show, man.
What is good? Happy to be here, Alex.
Hey, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy Western Michigan lifestyle you live to come talk some action, to come talk. Well, we got a lot of things on the table. I know you and I were talking earlier about this transfer portal stuff, some of this NIL stuff. But I've kind of got a list of things I'd love to get into. You watched that MAC championship this last week or 2 weeks ago now, didn't you?
Sadly, I didn't get to watch it. I was at work. No, because I randomly work Saturdays. So I was really bummed I didn't get to watch it, but I was refreshing my phone.
Okay.
And I saw some highlights, and I was kind of shocked. I thought Toledo was the team of destiny this year a little bit. But Miami.
I think a lot of people thought that, honestly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, who stood out to you in that game?
Man, I tell you what. So I was there, right? And I got the opportunity to be there. And, first off, hats off to Miami for winning the MAC championship, of course. But I was thoroughly impressed with that defense of Miami. Toledo played them earlier in the year, 121 to 17 down in Oxford. Miami came out and, there were people online, some predictions saying Toledo's not scoring 20. I was like, all right, that is a bold prediction. I love it. Sure enough, Miami came out 123-14, huge defensive effort. And, Avion Smith, he completed 6 of 16 passes. So he was below 50%. But
wow.
They established a fantastic ground game. Defense looked excellent. Jack Salopek looked great. And it'd kind of add to that, Graham Nicholson, he missed his first field goal in however many weeks on, dating back to last year in this game, and still walks away with the Lou Groza Award this year. Talk about that. I mean, that hats off to him, a MAC player winning a big national award like that. We've seen Heisman finalists. We saw Jordan Lynch, a Heisman finalist, back in the early 2010s. But for a MAC player to win a national award like that, that's pretty special.
Yeah, especially in a conference, the MAC, any mid-major that isn't really known for kicking field goals too well. So that makes it all the more impressive. And what is even crazier is that Avon Smith, he just entered the transfer portal, right?
He did enter the transfer portal. I've seen a little bit of talk that he's getting a lot of some FCS looks, a couple other group of 5 looks. This transfer portal is nuts. Curtis Rourke just committed to Indiana.
Yep, Indiana. I've seen that.
Wow.
I know.
When he's healthy.
It's crazy.
When he's healthy, though, this is a guy who can go out and he can really dominate and take control of a game. So best of luck to him, of course. Daquan Finn, there's rumors he might be coming back to Toledo a little bit. I saw Western Michigan lost a few quarterbacks to the portal.
That honestly, it's okay.
Because you guys have Hayden Wolf coming back, right?
So it was kind of, yes. Thank God he is coming back. It was kind of a weird thing. We had like a triple battle for starting quarterback. We started with our Salapak, and I forgot his first name, but Salapak. I'm sorry.
Jack Salapak?
Jack, that's right, Jack. I mixed the two up. Jack Salapak was like our starter last year. I think he was a freshman last year. And, he was just really inconsistent with high-pressure situations. He would make really bad passes, turnovers that just were game-breaking. And we benched him, and tried out Tresson Bourget, which he was like.
I love that name. First off,
I
what a
think he's
great
a
name.
beast.
Yeah,
I really liked him. He was the complete opposite of Salapak. He's big. He was a bigger guy. He had some flow to his game. Jack was kind of like a overthinking, trying to make perfect plays, and this guy, he was a team leader. The offense flowed through him. So he finished out the last half of the last year, and there's some promise. He seemed like he might be the guy going forward. And then we got to transfer Hayden Wolf, and he just sat, which I was surprised because he had like a pretty decent record over at Old Dominion. So I was surprised he would want to come here.
Something over like 10,000 career passing yards or something at Old Dominion. Like, stud quarterback.
Yeah, I felt like we were stacked in the quarterback department. And it kind of became this thing where it seemed like our coaches, even a crossover overlap to our new coach today, they tried to get Jack going. And there were just so many games where we were trying to get him going, and we would fall into a hole, then we'd swap out,
Right.
And it was like, if we just had one full game with one of these guys, we might be able to do it.
Might work out. Yeah.
Yeah. And, beginning of this season, they both kind of show that, I don't know, it just wasn't it. So we put in Hayden Wolf halfway through the Iowa game. And he was slinging. He had
he can chuck
fear.
The ball.
I thought he was the guy. I was like, oh my gosh. So ever since then, the fan base has kind of gone back and forth like Tresson. And he kind of fizzled out a little bit. Hayden Wolf came in, played really well. Now, like down the stretch this year, he didn't really play as good, but new head coach, new system. I get it.
Yeah, no, it's so tough, right? I mean, there's a lot of different factors going on, obviously when you got a new coaching staff and a transfer quarterback, from what I've seen, coaching staffs love to look at the guys who are already there because they already know those players, right? They even if they're changing the system, they already have chemistry with some of those players. So you bring in a new guy, also a new system. I get it to a degree. And I know a lot of people were really surprised that Hayden Wolf wasn't doing much early on. Again, I get it, but I think you're right. I think, Hayden Wolf when he was in, he looked excellent. It's just, again, you got to learn the system. You got to learn the coaching staff. You got to learn these players. But early prediction for Western Michigan football next year. Are we looking at 7-5?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely 7-5.
I love the hesitation.
We almost
for our listeners, I want to be clear. He hesitated and looked at me like a deer in headlights.
Slander. That's slander. Listen, I hope we do that. I hope we do even better than that.
Sure.
But things kind of seem off with the football program, especially with just all the transferring and transfer portal. I think every team's kind of dealing with that at this point. So it's really hard to say. Unless you're a Power 5 who knows is going to have, your wideouts and everything like that. It's hard to tell if we're going to do that good. But hey, there's been so many.
Why don't you tell people how you really feel about the transfer portal? I want to give you this moment to kind of air your grievances with the transfer portal.
It's complicated.
It is.
I think, as far as like a G5 fan. Alumni, I think it's going to help us a lot. But it's just such a different thing. You're not going to have teams that have been together for an entirety for 3 years or whatever to get good. And a lot of, good group of 5 teams have been good because they've had people that have stuck together for years, and they finally have that 1 year where they can compete with kind of, a Power 5 team that doesn't have it all together.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's good and bad. We're gonna see a lot more of what kind of toll it's gonna take in these coming years.
I think my biggest issue with it is that NIL is so directly tied to how the transfer portal works. You gotta, and I have always been 100% advocate for players getting paid. I firmly believe they are making these universities a lot of money going out and with their name, likeness, and image, right? They are doing all this work and doing well beyond what normal college kids would do and not getting compensated for it. So I am fully in favor of players getting compensated. I'm worried that NIL, I think one, there needs to be an NIL cap. I think that's
I
for
really
me.
like that idea.
I think there needs to be a hard cap, like, hey, schools cannot offer a player more than whatever. And I don't think you break it down by sport. I think it can be any sport, whatever. Here's the hard cap, because what's happening is now that we're seeing the NIL be so prevalent, you're going to start luring away these excellent players from these MAC schools, from these AAC schools, from the Sun Belt to the Big Ten, to the SEC, because they have infinitely more cash flow.
Yeah, exactly.
And their alumni donors have infinitely more cash flow.
Right. As if it wasn't already difficult to keep good players.
Yeah.
At G5 schools. I really like that idea. You should send like a very strongly worded email to somebody. I'll back you up. I'll send my own and
Perfect. No, but I mean, I think, all jokes aside, I think, you're telling me that if I don't know, Justin Fields started out at Western Michigan in this NIL era, you're really telling me that, Oklahoma isn't going to see, oh, this is a generational talent. Let's go throw $1 million at this kid to come play at Oklahoma instead. I'm sorry, the kid's going to take that money, and I get it, and I support them getting that money. But it's like, I'm so worried that the Group of Five and like the MAC is going to be the farm system of these Power Five programs. But
sure,
that's a diatribe for another day.
Yeah,
don't want to belabor the point. I think my point has been made very clear. I think your point has been made very clear on where we kind of sit on this. But we have college football this week. We have MAC football this week.
Yes.
We have 2 games coming up this weekend. We've got Georgia Southern taking on the Ohio Bobcats in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And then we have the defending MAC champs taking on Appalachian State in the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. I'm excited for both of these games. Oh, yeah, it's a great name.
Are they pushing together like multiple companies for these bowls?
They're doing something. I think
it's a lot of real estate.
I think of the Avocados from Mexico is the title sponsor. They are an actual company that does exactly what their title says.
Avocados from Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. You know the jingle, yeah.
Of course. And I know the Cure. Is it Cure Auto? Is that what it is? Cure?
No, this is not Cure Auto. This is for cancer research. This is actually
okay. That makes more sense.
Which is why you see a bunch of the stuff with like the pink and the, it's I believe it's primarily breast cancer, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to commit to that answer.
Yeah.
But it's it's designed for like cancer research and like medical research as well. Like it's a really cool thing that they do with this bowl game, where they raise funds and campaigns through this bowl game to help fund research. Whoa. And I love that. I think it's
that's
cool
awesome.
thing.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Learned a little bit of something there today.
Definitely.
But so I of these 2 games, so Ohio and Georgia Southern kick off at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Early start to our Saturday football slate over there on ESPN Plus. The Bobcats, obviously, they were hoping to get back to the MAC championship. Did not do so. Ended up getting blasted really by Miami at home down in Peden Stadium to lose that tiebreaker. The Bobcats finished 9-3 on the year. Georgia Southern coming in at 6-6. Curtis Rourke obviously not playing this bowl game, and I think that makes this game far more intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Bobcats are the underdogs at 3.5 points for this game. Georgia Southern is the favorite, despite being 6-6. I feel like maybe, and maybe this is my
your MAC bias.
Yeah, we'll go with MAC bias, but I feel like maybe there should be a little bit more respect for the MAC. But Curtis Rourke he's transferred. He's gone. He's not playing this bowl game. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe the odds makers see that. Whereas conversely, we have the Miami Ohio game taking on Appalachian State. Is it
That's gonna be a
Appalachian
good
or is it
one.
Appalachian? I've heard it both, and I've said both in this show.
Depends on who you talk to and where you are in the country, probably.
I'll go call up the group of 5 guys later on.
Do
be like,
it.
hey, you guys don't cover the MAC as much as I do, but you cover these teams really well. How do I pronounce his name? But you got Appalachian State. See there again. I'm going back and forth. We'll stick with that one. That'll be the show pronunciation. So you got Miami taking on Appalachian. Jesus,
that was good.
There we go.
Like that.
Yeah, the App State. There, we'll roll
App
it.
State. That's good. Just leave it at that.
Then nobody from West Virginia can come and beat me up. But we've got Miami, Ohio taking them on in the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. Miami, Ohio, obviously the MAC champion. If you look at what Miami did, and this was something I was looking at earlier today, just kind of looking at numbers, every game they played, aside from Cincinnati, UMass, Western Michigan, shout out to Western Michigan, and Miami, Florida, they held all of their opponents to 21 or less points. Oh, sorry, not Western Michigan. Western Michigan scored 21. So
say it again. How much we score? How much did we
21.
score?
21. In a losing effort. I just want to throw that one out there.
You didn't have to say that.
So they only gave up more than 21 3 times on the year.
That's solid. That's stout defense.
Ever since week 4, they have not given up 21 points or more than 21 points.
I think App State is one of those schools that is always really competitive. I mean, at the beginning of the year, they had a big game. Who they beat somebody? Did they?
Last year, I know they beat Texas A&M. They lost in overtime to UNC this year.
Okay, it's respectable.
But then towards the end of the season, I mean, they started off the season 3-4, and then towards the end of the season, they ripped off 5 straight wins to close out the season with a loss at Troy, in the championship game. But I really, really like what App State did down the stretch. Joey Aguilar has looked excellent this year. JMU obviously was ineligible for the Sun Belt Championship. They finished 7-1,
which can I say
overall.
Is baloney. That's baloney.
I don't disagree, but are we now? Let me ask you this: are we saying this is baloney? Let's say it's Akron moving up, right? And Akron does what Akron did this year. They win 2 games. Are we still saying it's baloney that they were ineligible for the conference championship? Or are we just saying that because they seemingly had a really good season?
Oh, because they seemingly had a really good season.
So that then begs the question, do I think the rule is fair? No. Do I think that they should still adhere to the rule because they agreed to the rule before making that transition? Yes.
You're being a little too logical here. They had
That's all I do.
They had an amazing year. We deserve to see that. They deserve to do it. I mean, it's one thing to go to and
they can get their championship rings made.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some give with the NCAA.
But now let me ask you this. The team who got to represent that division in the Sun Belt Championship, JMU lost to. They lost to App State.
That is true. That is true.
Saying. Now,
championship games are a little different, though.
Championship games are a little bit different, but the head-to-head.
But if App State lost, they're still going to a bowl.
I mean, JMU's going to a bowl. They're playing Air Force.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, because they didn't have enough 6-6 teams. Remember, they're playing. Air Force in the Armed Forces Bowl.
Oh, good for them. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
I did not realize that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, talking about these other 2 MAC games, though, we've got Ohio taking on Georgia Southern, Miami taking on App State. Who do you like in these games? I like Ohio. And, I think Ohio has a pretty good defense, and they've got a solid offense. I don't think people expected them to beat Wyoming last year, and they did. out in the Arizona Bowl, and they looked really good doing it. I really like Ohio in this one. But I don't know, man. What are your thoughts?
That's a tough one. I think Georgia Southern is kind of slept on.
Yes.
I know a couple of years ago, Western played them, and we play them occasionally all the time. The last time I remember us playing, we beat them pretty handedly, and I at the time was thinking, oh, Georgia Southern, like these guys stink,
Sure.
And I over the past couple of years, Sun Belt, right?
Yep.
Sun Belt, I hate to say it, Sun Belt is, I think, more competitive and a little bit stronger than the MAC. And I hate to say that because I am a MAC fan, but there has been so much buzz.
You just angered a lot of people down in Southeast Ohio with that take right there.
Oh no, I'm from Michigan. I feel like that already is automatic, right?
I mean that's true. That's true. But I do think you make a good point. The Sun Belt has done a really nice job of turning around as a conference, and they've elevated themselves, which is why I think this matchup is so intriguing. With Ohio, like Georgia Southern finished last in their division.
Ooh.
At 3-5 in conference play. But when you go and you look at what they did with their football schedule, they did enough in non-conference play. I mean, they beat, the Citadel, they beat UAB, they lost 21 points to Wisconsin, but then they came up and they blasted Ball State. Granted, Ball State not very good this year. We know that.
Terrible. Yeah.
But they blasted Ball State, which is why I think this matchup is so intriguing. Now, they barely squeaked in. They ripped off 4 straight losses at the end of the year. Like they looked really good early on. They started the season 5-1. But to close out the year, they lost 4 straight games. And just got in. But yeah, man, I think Georgia Southern is they're going to be coming out. Dylan Bryn has looked awesome for them this year. 3,400 passing yards. 22 touchdowns.
Gosh. Wow. And Ohio's defense is pretty good. So, it's tough to say. I feel like the answer will come from, that stretch at the end of their season where they went 0-4. How are they going to respond? Are they going to come out in this bowl game and try to prove something? Or is it going to be more of the same that they can't get out of their own way?
Right.
I think Ohio also has a lot to play for as well because they really wanted to get to that MAC championship game. I mean, last year they did pretty good. Maybe maybe they're going to try to prove something.
Sure. No, it'll be interesting to see. Let's move over to that Miami App State game real quick. Miami, again, the defending MAC champions. App State, got blasted really in the Sun Belt Championship by Troy. I think Miami is going to win this one. I know that I say that with a bias. That defense is unbelievable. They proved that the offense can do enough under Avion Smith. They did in the MAC championship against arguably if not the best defense, against the second best defense in the MAC in Toledo. They put up 23 points on them while stifling MAC Player of the Year and MAC Offensive Player of the Year to Quan Finn and Penny Boone.
And he's
still
real
put
good.
up a bunch of that. Toledo still put up a bunch of yards. I think they actually outgained Miami. But you held them out of the end zone. You let your special teams do their work. They had multiple blocked kicks on Toledo in that game. I think at least one blocked extra point in that game. So special teams did great work. I really, really, really like the Miami defense to carry them to a 12-2 season.
And this one, I completely agree. I think Miami looked real good in the MAC championship game. Now, Avion Smith, is it for sure he's not going to play?
Not entirely
I can't imagine
sure.
That he wants to. I mean,
I think it's coach's discretion if they're not committed elsewhere yet.
Okay.
So I mean, coach
even
could
with
give him a
even
chance
with
to
him
do so.
Out, I think they win.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because there's no way that they don't have a backup that does similar things,
Right. Well, and I think it's clear Avion was the second best quarterback in that quarterback room, but I know that they've got players right? And again, he completed 6 passes in the MAC championship, and
Might
they
as well
won.
not even been there.
Legitimately, they won. And no disrespect to Avion Smith, of course, but they did it with they did it based off of the defense, and that's what I think is the big thing here. So you like Miami, I like Miami. I like Ohio purely because of the defense, but Georgia Southern, that one could be a coin flip. Easy enough, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to these winter sports. Kind of run down some of these real quick. I know this is one of your specials when you do your gig. You're talking about a little bit of hockey, some Bronco hockey. Yeah. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this. I know that you mostly follow Western Michigan, but I'm sure you kind of pay attention to the BG and the Miami results as well.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much you know about college hockey and the conferences. There is no
MAC.
the
MAC does not sponsor it.
It does not.
That's about it.
So MAC schools, the couple that do have D1 programs, are kind of split between 2 conferences: the NCHC, which is the one Western Michigan is in, and Bowling Green in the CCHA, which historically is a very good conference. You had like Michigan in there. You had, it was like the premier conference. It's kind of fallen from grace a little bit when the Big Ten decided to do their own.
Right.
Yeah. So Western Michigan, it's great. I mean, it's the one, aside from our undefeated season, that our program with hockey is the best thing that we have in athletics. Last year, we had a program high 4th overall seed in the country. Okay. So, and this year we're ahead of Michigan, and Michigan is a blue blood through and through.
Yes. Multiple Frozen Fours, like Michigan
championships. It's like kind of similar how they are with football. It's like they're so old. Hockey being one of the oldest sports that they've racked up a lot of national championships. But yeah, BG, I think they have a decent program and they have a very good history as well. Lately, they have not been doing as well, which is really sad to see, because even if they're not in the MAC in hockey, I still root for them.
1984 champions of college hockey. They've got a lot of that history just based off of that right there. A lot of those guys 100%. Went on to play in the, in the professional ranks. Some of those guys were on that Olympic team that upset the USSR. Bowling Green's got a great history. Awesome. Oh yeah, you go look up the history. It's pretty wild. Some of those guys were on that that Team Miracle that we see in the Disney film.
Yeah, for sure. So where should I go with this? Because I could talk about what West.
I know. I don't want to give you an hour on hockey. But no, it's I mean, quick, give me a quick breakdown on what you're seeing from Western Michigan. Just talk about their season. Do a quick 30-second or so.
Sure. So, we're coming off a year where we made it to the playoffs. We did very well. We had the highest scorer in the country, in Jason Poland, which now he's on to professional. And now we kind of lost our whole, front line, our offense. So this year we got a couple transfers, one from Colorado College, and we're playing some good hockey. It took a while for us to really click with the new line, but there's just so much talent, and just getting to the playoffs has really helped. People want to transfer, and we're getting some decent players that kind of aren't getting minutes anymore. Where are they from? I mean, I have a lot of hope. Now, the NCHC is by far this is not even controversial. The NCHC is the best, is the SEC of college hockey. Okay. I remember 2 years ago, I read something that the previous 5 out of 8 championships were all from NCHC schools. Wow. Okay. So we have North Dakota, which is a university that you don't expect to have amazing athletics just because of its size. They have a hallowed program, an amazing arena. They are easily one of the best every year. And in addition to that, the University of Denver, which they're like consistently one. They're like
Yeah, I
Georgia,
see them come
you
up a
know.
lot.
They are always really good, and we split with them this weekend. So yeah, we're looking good. We're ranked
Exciting
12
time for
now.
Western Michigan hockey, it sounds like.
It's awesome, and you have to go to a game at Lawson.
I'll
We
try
have
to
a
make it
student
up there this
section.
year. I'll work that out with you. I'm going to try to make it up to a game this year for sure.
I mean, you
We'll
should.
make it
You would
happen.
really enjoy it. Our student section is insane. Insane.
Yeah.
We have like a lot of choreographed chants. The crowd is
Awesome.
really right up there on the ice.
Okay.
So, and they're very reactive to everything that happens. And they're kind of, I mean, we're called the Lawson Lunatics. They are
Yes.
crazy. They're cursing at people. They go in the box. They get a penalty or whatever. The other player goes in the box. It's right up there against the Lawson Lunatics. So they'll do things like they'll go up to the side of it, the ice, look up like the player's mom or something, and like put it up against there and be like, eh.
That's so funny.
It is a fun time. It gets loud in there, and it really gives us an advantage.
That's so fun. We'll run down a couple of these other kind of just quick moments here in the rest of winter sports, or at least with basketball. Men's side, a couple things going up and down. I think the men are trying to figure out what they're doing. But the women's side, I've been very impressed with. Toledo beat Michigan in Toledo.
That was
in front
awesome.
of a record crowd of 7,300 people. Ball State women, this is what I love. Ball State women, their hottest start since 99-2000. They are currently 8-2, started the season 10-1. They went 22-9 to advance to the NCAA tournament, where they fell to UCLA 65-57. EMU, they let their women's basketball coach go. Kind of expected. Eastern Michigan has not been good for a while. I remember back in the early mid 2010s, they were constantly taking Toledo out of the MAC tournament, and making multiple finals appearances, but they just have not figured it out as of late. I hope that they can find somebody. It sounds like they've got one of their assistant coaches as the interim, until they figure out what's going on. But I hope that they can find that search soon, because that's something you always looked at as Eastern Michigan. Like, even if they weren't consistently good at basketball, you at least had to worry about them.
Oh yeah, they're definitely a wild card in most things, and it's tough for Eastern. They're real close to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
They are real geographically. It is tough. I feel like it's very hard for them to express their fandom being so close to Michigan, where they are just disrespectful. They just are like, they don't care. So shouts out to Eastern and their fan base, because like they deserve some props for consistently being tough program in all sports.
It's like you said, across all sports. That's I imagine I've often had thoughts of like a highly touted 3-star recruit doing a tour, doing like their tour at Michigan, and then the same day or the next week doing their tour at Eastern Michigan. And that, I mean, that's just a tough, like when you're that close, it's so tough to recruit against Michigan when you got the big house. And the factory's fun. I think the factory's working on getting some upgrades and whatnot, but it's the big house. Like, it's so hard.
It's Michigan Stadium.
Yeah. Like it's so tough. But no, so I mean, it's exciting stuff happening with all those sports. Certainly want to congratulate a few fall sports All-Americans. We had, for football, I know Quinyon Mitchell made a bunch of second teams. And I believe Lou Groza winner, Graham Nicholson, made it on a couple second teams, which I find hilarious that the best kicker in college football is a second team All-American.
Makes
whatever.
No sense.
We had a few Miami field hockey. Shout out to my girls over there down in Oxford. They were selected as All-Americans, and I was so happy for them, because this is a program that has worked so hard, just for a long time. And it's so cool to kind of see what they do. You got Claudia Garcia. She was named on a couple of All-American lists. She was named second team All-American. And then Berta Mata was named third team All-American to the Snaps Sports All-American teams. So it's really awesome to see them kind of pick up some of those accolades. And I think we had a volleyball girl from Western Michigan make an All-American team. And I was thoroughly impressed with what she did.
Logan Case.
Yep.
She's a beast.
Unbelievable. And she was
It
named
was real fun
honorable
to watch
mention.
them.
Yeah, she was just so dominant all year long. Part of that undefeated regular season for the Mid-American Conference play. She had the really big hand in that. But yeah, Logan Case was just excellent. Again, she was named honorable mention All-American, and I was so happy for her by the American Volleyball Coaches Association. A lot of coaches are telling you, hey, you're pretty good to be recognized nationally. So hats off to her. I know I'm missing probably a few All-Americans. For that, I apologize. But that's a good thing. If I'm missing some, that means we've got a lot in the conference right now. And that's a win for the Mid-American Conference.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Brigadier, this is kind of the point where I'm just going to let you kind of tell people what you do, who you are, and then I'll wrap it up here. But of course, one, I want to thank you for coming on and being my first ever guest co-host. Looking forward to bringing on more guest co-hosts from various schools over the next few weeks as we kind of push this thing forward. But yeah, kind of tell our fans, followers at home, one, where they can find you, a little bit about who you are. I don't know if you like Western Michigan or not. I couldn't tell. So if you want to clear that up for me, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Well, first, it's an honor to be selected for your show. I've always appreciated what you do and the hard work you put in and your attention to detail to my conference. Just love the stuff you've been doing, and just keep it up, man. Second, the name's Brigadier Bronco. Okay. I am
big EMU guy.
No, I am a very proud Western Michigan fan. I was previously the mascot for WMU, Buster the Bronco. So you may have seen me if you're a Western fan, you just didn't know it. That was me doing the floss next to all the kids.
I love that.
But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I just repost stuff for the culture. I make content. I usually do like a Sunday weekend roundup show, which kind of been put on hiatus just with my new work and getting a house and all these things. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Brigadier Bronco. I do have an Instagram. I don't really update on it, so you don't probably need to follow me on that. But yeah, and I'm also just a big fan of the Mid-American Conference, conference that's been slept on and deserves its flowers. And I think is really coming into its own in these coming years. And as you can see, I got on the Mac shirt.
Love it.
You go shop for it on their website. It's quality fabric.
It is.
But yeah, Brigadier Bronco, baby.
No, again, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to come and offer the Mac a point of view from a Western Michigan fan. I really appreciate it. Wanted to bring you on and have you out. A couple things, guys, for those who haven't followed us or haven't seen kind of what's going on Twitter. AJ and I had a long talk, decided that, we're going to split this up. AJ has stepped away from the show. I wanted to say thank you to him for the work he's done over the last couple of years. It's truly appreciated, but we're going to be rolling forward without AJ. Again, I wish him the best of luck. He is out in Colorado living his best life with his wife. Say that 3 times fast. And he is more than likely hiking right now if he's not at work, checking out those mountains. And again, just a big thank you to AJ. You guys can follow him over there on Twitter at roughing55. If you wanted to stay in touch with him, I'm sure he would appreciate that. He's I know he posts different pictures of his time in Colorado as well, and he still has his thoughts on the Ohio State Buckeyes, of course. You guys know he's a big Ohio State fan. Post his thoughts on the Ball State Cardinals, where he went to school, and of course, the Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Guardians. But so we did decide to separate, split this off, and it's all me. So you guys are stuck with me for forever. It's like an eternity, and maybe 2 eternities if that's the personal hell you want to be in. But that's going to do it for this week's show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Got a lot of things in the works right now. A lot of moves I'm looking at making. A lot of changes I'm looking at making. Maybe including bringing on one of you to help out with content. So keep your ears to the ground. Keep your eyes open on our Twitter. I would love to hit 2,500 people in the next 17 days before the end of the year. So if we can hit 2,500 people, it'd be really cool. I might even do a giveaway. I won't do it as fancy as, some of these other giveaways. No money giveaways, but maybe I'll throw out a hat there for somebody. Do a follower giveaway, do a hat, do something like that. That'd be fun. I think we could make that happen. As Brig is over here adjusting his hat, I think signaling that he wants a hat.
See this one right here?
I do. It's a nice Eastern Michigan hat you're wearing there.
Stop.
But no, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. You can follow the College Sports Connection podcast or the CSC podcast over on Twitter at College Sport Pod. You can find us on Instagram at the CSC Podcast, or check out our website at www.thecscpodcast.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.